I say time out. Time out. I am inevitable.
Oh,
Stop it! So, in a galaxy far, far away.
I'm gonna start.
Hi, I'm Juan Salazar.
I'm Dalia Salazar. And this is our story. Lived with my mom, and she was very abusive, and she was an alcoholic, and she did drugs, and whenever she had a bad day, she'd always blame it on us, and then she'd just take out all her anger on all of us. And she always had a new boyfriend in the house, and it was never one that was actually good for her or good for us, and he was very abusive, and he also did drugs. And then me and Juan have the same dad, but then our little brother, she got with his father, and then they were together for a while, and they got married, and then he abused her one day, then he left.
After a while, our mom couldn't support us anymore, so we moved back to Moses Lake, and we moved in with our grandma. Our grandma was also taking care of our disabled aunt in a one-bedroom duplex. So it was them two, and then four of us in that one little space. And then one day we came home from school, and our mom wasn't there. We didn't know why, but later we found out that she left with her ex-boyfriend and ended up getting in jail. We were taken into foster care after our mom left. It was the day before the last day of 3rd grade. We came home from school, and this woman came to our house.
She came to my grandma's house, and it was just a little bit after we came back from school, and me and my brothers, she took us to Tino and Ellie's house, which are now our parents.
They're the one that first introduced Jesus to us, but then they started taking us to church. It was one Sunday morning during church, I realized I needed Jesus. I realized that I needed something more. So that Sunday morning, I dedicated my life to Jesus and allowed him into my heart.
We used to go to church with our grandma, and it was this thing that it's oh yeah, we're Christian, but we really weren't. And we would do worship. It was something that I would just sing to, but I wouldn't really apply it to my life, or I wouldn't really be focusing on what it was talking about. And I didn't really give my whole life to God till one service. It was just we were singing, and then it just became clear to me that that I was just lying to myself, and I was trying to fool everybody else, saying that I was some good Christian child. So I gave my life to Jesus and just let him take control over everything that I do. I'm Talia.
I'm Juan.
And that was our story.
And that's how we changed our lives.
Okay, so I was raised strictly Catholic, church every Sunday, and we had Bible classes right after. And when my parents got divorced, we decided to start coming to MRCC. It was great. So I told my mom I wanted to keep going, and that became our home church. So as I got older, I continued through the youth program and started attending culture. I got very religious. I tried really hard to be a good Christian and made sure I was always at culture and being the good kid who paid attention. I started to really get this group of friends at culture. I became super close friends with one of the boys in that group, but that ended up not being the best thing that I ever did, because at the end of my 7th grade year, this boy hurt me multiple times, and it changed me, it changed my views of the world, but worst of all, it changed my relationship with God. At 13, I was forced to grow up and realize being a Christian does not protect you from harmful things. And I really struggled with this because I had learned to love God and love church, and because of this, I began to hate it. I hated culture, I hated church, I hated God. And this is because in my eyes, he had completely abandoned me. Like, he had let this boy hurt me, he was letting me feel all this pain, and I felt ashamed. I felt like it was my fault. I kept asking him, what did I do wrong? What did I do to deserve this? So I thought that I had messed up so bad that he didn't love me anymore. I kept just everything inside, and I think that was really like my rock bottom. But one night everything really changed. I started my second year on the worship team. I started paying attention to those lyrics more, and I began to feel them and learn from them. And most nights that I attended culture, I felt like the songs were aimed at me. And I now understand that this was God speaking to me through worship. I began working on praying. Really, what saved my relationship with God was worship itself. Through these songs, I found the strength and calling to return to God and continue my journey on his path. So today I'm 15. I'm about to preach this message in a couple weeks. Don't give up on God even when you feel like he has given up on you, because I promise you he hasn't given up on you. And so you just have to find that area of your life that God is speaking to you in and really make sure to take it all in and listen to him. And he is with you through every second of your struggle.
Alright, I'm Jacob, I'm 17, and this is my story. So I was a freshman in high school, hanging out, having a good time, being a high schooler. It was a Friday night. I got the news that a friend of mine committed suicide. That was pretty tough. You know, I had to go through that the whole summer, you know, and then there was probably, I want to say, 2 weeks left before school started up, and then, you know, bam, life just hits me again. Boom, you know, felt kind of like a low blow. And then I get the news that my best friend died. Found out he drowned. So then I had to go through my whole sophomore year with those two things on my back, and I put my earphones on every day and would just walk down the halls, and if everyone see me, I'd be like, hey! And then just back to, you know, I was probably, want to say, the darkest place in my life. I just felt very frustrated, like very upset, you know, like why God, you know? And then reconnected, thankfully, with Darius. He's the man. After our conversation, I was like, whoa, what's this? And felt really good, and ever since, you know, I felt a lot better, felt a sigh of relief, you know, like, hey, I can actually get through this. And I feel like God would be saying, like, serve, because before my friend passed away, he was doing a lot of serving, helping in the community. I've been helping out at a bunch of different places at the church, but I feel like God's saying, you know, you should try it and see what it's like. If you talked to me about this last year, we were distant, but I would say now he's trying to help me through this, and like we've gotten a closer relationship and is like talking through me. Like, that's the best way to describe it.
Hi, I'm Addie Mae and I'm from Culture Youth. I've always been the girl, always at youth group, always at the summer camps, ever since 3rd grade. I've always been at Silver Lake. I've always, you know, seen Darius. He was the funny kid who always did the weird stuff, you know. And, you know, I always viewed my testimony as that. You know, ever since I was little, my parents always told me, oh, Addie, you have such a tender heart for the Lord. And people would just tell me that, and I really never understood that. Things really didn't change for me until last year at a summer camp. I was worshiping and I just felt so separated from God. I was realizing to myself, like, how can I expect people to come to Jesus if I don't really fully understand that myself? So the 3rd night of summer camp went by, and the speaker came up. He said, God's telling me that we need to go a completely different direction with this. I walked up to the altar, and I'm thinking, God, I'm here to make an encounter with you. I'm here to experience your love in a whole new level. You know, I'm ready for this. And so then the pastor goes and he invites other people to the stage. He invites students, and they're saying these things, and it's moving me, and I'm feeling it through my heart, you know. And the last guy, he was probably 13, 14 years old, and he just said, there's someone in this room right now, and God's telling me this one word, and that is surrender. And I just felt my heart drop. I got on my knees And I just remember God just saying, you're called to this mission, and you're called to serve me. And I just remember feeling so complete and so accepted within that moment. So I get up and I walk to the very front of the altar, and this stranger taps me on the shoulder, and it's a woman, and she says, "Can I pray over you? Like, God's telling me that I need to pray over you." And she just started to say so many things that I had never shared with anyone. She just began prophesying over me and how I was called to Him, I was called to serve Him, and I just felt like that was no other thing than God Himself coming to say that to me. After that, things really changed for me. I was able to forgive people that had let me down time and time again. And so, as time goes on, I'm still, I don't think that you find Jesus once and that it's over. I think it's a continual battle of finding Him again and again and again. If you feel like you haven't experienced God, have faith in those moments and really listen for His voice. And so that's my encouraging word to you, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night worshiping God.